All
So,
right, so we did a breakdown of Briz versus Ill Will. We went line for line. We did the research into the lines so that there was almost nothing we missed. We
this is
talked
true.
about the breakdown of the lines, the setups, the concepts in them, whether they'd been used before, how reachy they were, all the nitty gritty shit, the stuff you should do when you're listening to bars, right?
This is facts. This is stuff that my teachers would be proud of for homework.
So let's get into it. So we'll start with Will's round one. So he starts off a little light. He doesn't really have anything hit until red dots on his face. Now he Rosenberg Rothstein. That's good. I like that. I thought that was funny personally. Juice, if you want to weigh in between comments with me.
Yeah, sure. I liked it too. I think, like you said, that's kind of the first line that he spit where the crowd seemed to actively be into the start of the battle. So it kind of led him off to the rest of his round.
Yeah, and it was like kind of funny. So he's like playing his charisma up. That's good. That's good. That's not a
Yeah.
bad bar either. Red dots on his face, obviously making fun of the fact that Rosenberg Rothstein is Pizza Face Jr. But then he moves on to his caught right in your chest, like Bill got his jersey backwards, I believe was the bar.
Yes. Yep. Yeah,
Now,
this is this to me was kind of reachy, Bill Cartwright caught right, but I mean I can see it, we've definitely heard worse.
and I like the way he performed it. Like I said, like reaching's a part of battle rap at this point.
That's
So
fair.
we can tolerate slight reaches out here. It's not that bad. Now,
Yeah, sure.
one thing I'll note about this battle, which brings us into the next line that we felt was good, is that Ill had some of the better setups in this battle.
He did.
Maybe not some of the better punches, but definitely a lot of the better setups. He said, "Raw pussy. I ain't talking about the best feeling." Crowd was hype off that. Like, you insulting Briz. Shit. You're insulting Briz, calling him pussy, and also talking about raw dog sex, which is the best feeling. And if you don't know, I'm sorry, virgins. Moving on.
That's a fact. Sorry for your luck.
But that's good. That was a good setup. I don't remember what the punch was. I think it was this next line. It was I'll leave you post traumatic like a vet symptom,
Hmm.
which we had to stop and talk about that one because he
Leaving yourself traumatic.
using traumatic to describe how you left something, that doesn't really work grammatically, first of all, but I can't hold that too much against him because proper
Point got
grammar.
across.
Yeah, the point was there, and proper
Right.
grammar is not always important in a bar, but calling someone's head a post, I'm not
Yeah,
too
that
sold
was
on
the
that.
strangest part to me, unless we're talking about like a tiki torch or something like that. I don't really see where you would ever make that comparison. But,
Yeah, exactly.
again, sometimes you got to let stuff slide for the greater good.
Bar was still all right, but just there were some iffy parts in there.
Hmm.
His next thing, we're gonna talk about his setups again. He said 45 under the bed. I'm cheating on wifey with a cougar bitch. Now that's a
Fire.
great setup,
Yep.
but
Fi-
you want to go ahead?
No, no. It's just, I thought I was kind of on the chess wave with that, but you kind of converted me back to how it was a little bit different, and it was a good setup indeed.
Yeah, like the spirit of the punch that Chess used in his battle with who was it? Help me out here.
That was against. Was it the DNA battle?
Something. I got the ratchet under the bed like wifey back. Who was that against? Doesn't matter. That's the bar. That's the bar. And I could feel the spirit that bar came in, but I still think this was slightly different.
Yeah, yeah. No, you're right.
And then we get into something that neither of us could get. It was the punch off of this setup. It was off the first blast I can merge calves how you Uber lift.
Right.
And I'm still not sure what that means. Like, if
No.
someone wants to tell me, I'll give the respect to the bar. But the only thing I can glean from it is that merge cabs, how you Uber lift, like cabs,
Yeah.
Uber lift. I get the concept. Did he mean like merge his cab together as in compress the cab?
Ah, man, I don't know.
I
That's,
don't,
you
I
know,
don't
when we
know.
were talking about it before, the only reference I could really make to it is the cab, the Uber, and the Lyft, and
That's all
how
I
they're all
got.
merged together. But it's not. It's
It's
doesn't
not
really add up.
great.
You really got to reach for it.
And that got crowd reaction too. So like that
It
kind of
did.
disappoints me because I don't know if anyone else got it either. And then we get into a bit of a dry spot in his round, and it goes on for a bit until we get to the punch. Ill in the cut like an infection. That's a good punch.
It's great.
But he
One of
didn't.
my better punches of the round, I think.
Yeah, I can agree with that. But he didn't convert, like, he didn't transition to that well. He had a lot of dryness up to that. And there wasn't really a relevant setup. It just kind of came, you know?
Right. That's that. I think that's where I kind of had said when we first watched this. It seemed like he had this punch that he knew he wanted to use because it is a good punch, but he never really found the proper place to apply it. So he just kind of threw it in the closest spot that he could.
Yeah. And then right after that was the Bucks from the 12. They gave him statutory line. That was good. It was
Yep.
good.
Yep. I
Nasty,
like
but it's
that.
good. Pause. But then we get to this. This was his worst setup in the battle because it's wrong. He said, "You couldn't stop this chopper with Neo feet." And I
Mm-hmm.
know that sounds like it's a correct reference to the Matrix scene where Neo jumps out of the helicopter and blah blah blah. I won't go into the detail, but that reference is wrong because he doesn't stop the chopper with his feet.
Let me just say, your boy here, Vito, literally went to the scene in the movie. So for anyone who's like curious as to how much work he, especially he, but he or I put into actually analyzing this, Google and actual movies were pulled up on regular occasion to confirm the validity of this battle.
I don't fuck around with bars, man.
Nope, nope.
And then another confusing bar from Ill Will comes right after that. It was, "I got something new, all in, ready to see raw fish like a Creole feast." I still liked this bar, but I didn't really get this bar. Like, raw fish and Creole feast, I assume the Creole cooking has raw fish in it
Right.
somewhere. But that's all I got.
Yeah. Again, and this is kind of something that we see throughout the entire battle is it mixed with these really good punches of Ill Will. He has a lot of things that seem like you really have to reach for just to get the reference.
And I know relatability is given as a strength to people in other battles, but for some reason it's taken away when
Yeah.
y'all feel like it, and I don't like it. Don't set your double standards for battles, man. Come on. Consistency. Then he had a Friday bar about Ezel stealing something. Like, that's good. Friday bars hit. I like Friday
Yep.
bars.
Friday bars, like wrestling bars, pretty much you could say in any time and people fuck with it.
Yep, they work. And then this is probably my favorite bar in his round. It's that "stroke my ego like a bitch supposed to." Like,
Yep. Yep.
that was fire. That was great.
I think even the way the cadence of the bar that he says that, like the pause with it and everything, he kind of conveyed it perfectly.
The performance of it too worked out great.
Yep.
And then here's a bar that, like, I'm confused, not confused on, but like wanting to give to him because contextually I can tell it's a good bar. It was something about a lottery ticket and this 357 lead straight to a
Oh, yeah.
box.
Yep.
I feel like that's good, but I can't give that to him unless someone can explain it to me. I
Yeah.
assume there's a lottery ticket in somewhere, maybe Yaktown.
Show us the ticket.
Yeah, exactly. Show me the ticket. Show me that golden ticket, and we're good. But I can't give it to him. But that could be good.
Right.
So I'm willing to
Right.
believe it. And then I chuck Raw out the window like a police chase. Did not get the reaction it deserved. That was a haymaker.
I agree. I agree.
Then after that, he had his Mike P-ish Tekken scheme where it's just the performance. It's all the performance in the bar that matters. But performance matters, especially in a battle like this.
Definitely.
And I'm going to give him points for that. It was well performed. Shout outs to your boy Juice for this next one because it took me a sec to get this. The Cholo meeting bar. I didn't
Yep.
realize that, like, have your chest open, as in like the way they used to wear their shirts with just the
Yeah.
top button open. So
Yep.
shout outs
Pretty
to your boy
common.
Juice on that one. But that's good. That's a really good bar. And then this next one is different. This is a different bar. Buck 50, buck 50. This is Sparta. I've never heard that before. I've never heard that concept before.
It's something that you would when you hear it and you're like, oh, that's actually pretty simple. and you're surprised that no one's ever said it before, and that's the beauty of a bar like that.
And then ill all over raw chicken like salmonella. That's fire. That's a
That's
haymaker.
my bar of the round, I think personally.
Yep. That's a
I
great
s-
bar.
I like that one quite a bit.
And then we're gonna get into what we believe is the ill will staple right now because he did it in every round and they all hit.
Yes.
Is his bars where he'll build up with the aggression and then switch it to be like personable. So he'll go like this bar was the I know what I was finna say. Like bring it back around like I know what I was finna say. Like that bar is great. It's
Yeah.
relatable. It's like great cadence and it's got a lot of personality thrown into it. And he does it once in every round and they all hit.
No, you're right. It's his signature move that he has this very like simplistic saying that everyone knows bar that is still a punch, and between the way he performs it and what he's saying, it's everyone loves it.
Yeah, and something that gets me is that on the Reddit, shout out our rap battles, by the way. On the Reddit, someone was saying, "I'm getting sick of seeing bars written like that. Like, shut your nerd nut ass up. Like, are you serious? These are well
Talk to him.
done. These are well written bars, well performed too. To be that relatable is a skill. That shouldn't be something to be looked down upon."
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. And to furthermore add to it, I just don't understand how you can be getting sick of a bar like that when it's not really something we hear that often. There's only a few people that do it, and there's only even fewer people that do it well.
Exactly.
So I'm not really sure. Some of these people make these comments. You got to come with some facts to bring them back, or you're just looking
Questionable
like a
shit.
clown.
Yep. But then we get to the worst part of Ailes round, and it was his ender. It's
Yes.
2017, people. It's 2017. It's not 2012.
We're still using chin bars.
Still Asian chin bars. Still,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
doing those?
I guess so.
I really hope we're not still doing them in 2018. I hope they're never coming back around. Because unlike defeat bars, which can still be sort of creatively done, the concept is this: Asian people have a lot of people named Chin. That's
Yeah,
it.
it's just, and if you're gonna use that, there's way more parks than there are chins. So,
Which
I mean,
maybe Park just isn't as useful.
yeah, I guess not.
Whatever.
Yeah, no, it's a decent round overall from Ill Will. I think him ending it like that obviously takes away from it, and the fact that he just had so many bars that you really had to dig to either know the meaning or catch the reference or to kind of stretch the words a certain way to make it fit. But not a bad round.
No,
It
not at
had
all.
everything that you expect from Ill Will, and
Just some questionable
I don't mind it.
things. Just
Yeah,
some
I
questionable
agree.
things. Okay, so that was the end of Will's first. So then we get into Brizz's first. So his whole intro leading up to Hole in Will be on the side of the road like the tire popped. That's a fire
Yes.
bar. That's really
Yes.
well written. Hole in Will, hole in wheel. Like y'all get the reference, obviously, but still, like be on the side of the road like the tire popped. So not only did he have a wordplay element within his bar, but he also had a simile, which is usually where our punches are. That's well
Right.
written. The bar right after that used kind of the same setup, and then it was like a tire shop. That part was bland. That wasn't great. I took that away from him.
Do you think he just tried to use that to continue the same pattern?
I think so. I think he's a real big fan of extending his rhyme schemes, which we'll get into. Actually, we have a
Yep.
section like that. But then his next bar was, "What's poppin', Willie? It don't matter. This 12 o'clock lift. This 12 clock him up and no, fuck. Did we write this one right? Shit, I don't know. I was writing.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I
think
remember it now. I remember.
I
now.
think it was this 12 pop them up and clock them like we popping wheelies.
No.
right?
It was this 12 clock him and lift him up like we poppin' willies.
Yes.
Yes. So yeah, it was what's poppin', Willie? It don't matter. This 12 o'clock him and lift him up like we poppin' willies. The performance on that was great. That's well written. The punch
The
is
imagery.
good.
What about just the imagery of it?
Also, yeah, everybody's popped a wheelie on a bike before.
Yeah.
You had to lift that shit up really hard as a kid, especially if you were like trying to actually wheelie. That's good. The next bar that we noted, fly down with the zipper open. Now, I know people say they have a problem with the mom bars. First of all, stop. Roasting is an integral part of battle rap, and I'm glad it's not done. And roasting on someone's mom is as timeless gets.
Absolutely.
And also, fly down with the zipper open, but the fly down in this case is fly down from where I'm from. But when you
Yep.
flies down, your zipper's open. What? It's crazy.
Another double.
Exactly. Well written. Then it was guts fly out like a swisher open. That was okay. That was like a jab to me.
Yeah, and I mean we've heard similar things to that before.
I got four of these bitches to set it off. We ain't robbing banks. I've never seen Set It Off, so I had to look this movie up to get this bar. Like I got the concept the first time I heard it because I had assumed from all the other Set It Off bars I've heard in battle rap. But looking it up, the movie's about four women robbing a bank.
Yep.
Simple.
Yep.
But also a gun bar, so it's another double. He had a questionable bar after this though. Like I'm not trying to give this one to him. It was like I have your head on the table like the head detective or something like that.
Oh, right, yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
that's
really.
where we were trying to decide if that was literally just a meaning of, a lead of an investigation typically starts that way, or if there was some other meaning behind it.
Yeah, like some reference to In Living Color live. Like I give it to him in Living Color live, and then the head detective bar. I don't know. Maybe it's unrelated, but definitely that was a dry spot. But then we get into where that rhyme scheme just goes.
Mm-hmm. Talk about it.
Everything from the first punch is cinnamon. I crack they egg, then give you men toast. Whatever the lead in from that is 2 bars, and that's the third bar. It's a punch that's got wordplay. Cinnamon, send them in. Like I know we got tired of that when Erg went in on it against DNA, but I still counted
It's
it.
not the part to highlight in this anyways.
No, it's not, but it's still good.
Right.
Cinnamon, I crack the egg. They give you men toast, toast as in gun, toast as in piece of toast. Crack the egg. Breakfast scheme still works. Great concept. Then the pear is from France. He getting French toast. That's a haymaker.
Yes. And that's something that another example of something that I'm surprised we haven't heard before,
Yeah, I don't know how I've not heard that before, honestly. And then the whole section about him going in on Will's mom, like she get the dick fast, and she get the
Oh,
dick
yeah.
slow. Performance matters. This was performed well, and he's hilarious. That crowd
And he's
loves him. They were in
Yep.
stitches on camera the whole time. You
Yeah,
can't
he's
tell me
playing to the
Briz
crowd
isn't
this
funny.
entire duration.
Yep. And he's still continuing the rhyme scheme all the way from the men toast section, and he's been going on this rhyme scheme for almost 12 or 16 bars by this point.
Yep.
And then his next punch is get your shit sewed like I stitch clothes. Still on the same rhyme scheme, and that's still a good punch. Wouldn't call it a haymaker, but I would call it a good punch, like a clean punch.
I agree.
And then after this was, I think, your favorite bar in this round. It was for a grand dam, I'll clean Pontiac up like I'm detailing the whip.
Yep. Yes, I did fuck with that quite a bit. That was also the one that we had to try figure out, in terms of where the Grand Dam and Grand
Grand
Dam.
dam. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
But yeah,
you could
I like
still
it.
call that a slight reach.
Yeah, I think if we're, again, it's just a matter of how much you really want to nitpick. Some of these bars are clear reaches. Some of them, you get the concept, and everybody does it, like you said. So it's really just a matter of how much you really want to analyze the bar.
Yeah. And then what I think was the best bar in this round. Tell this crab I'm the muscle, so if I see food, I'll leave shells in the whip.
Oh
Come on.
yeah,
I don't have to
that
explain that.
I might have to side with you on that. There's so much reference in that. I mean, Ill Will being a crab, obviously, Muscle, like he's the head of the, I guess, aggressive operation, if you will. Seafood, leave shells. I mean, for people that are saying that Briz isn't a good writer, or there's nothing to his writing, my question to you is: are you really listening to what he said and catching everything that's layered in there, or are you kind of just letting it go overhead?
And part of that too is I know, like, I'm gonna pause the analysis for a sec. Don't call us dick riders. We're not dick riders. Sensical
No.
maybe.
Yeah, it's not just because anyone who had this type of performance, we would give the same type of critique to.
Exactly. I'm not saying everything he had was fire. There's dry spots from both of them in this battle, some pretty bad ones
Definitely.
at that. But for the stuff that's good, it's fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the next bar after the leaf shells and the whip was "Don't be shocked when he's underwater. Y'all better hope he's an electric eel." Slight reach for the name flip, and I understand not liking this bar, but I liked this bar.
Yeah, I think this is one that I think a lot of people definitely have been giving flack on, and I can see it to an extent,
But the
But
setup was
again,
good.
right. Sometimes people need to focus more. It could be something where maybe he should have structured it differently as well. But I could still appreciate it. Not the craziest thing I ever heard. Not the worst either.
But then he goes right back into personable Briz with "These bullets got your mama name on them, like yo electric bill."
Which is a nice
Hilarious.
blend of humor as well.
Hilarious. And he continues on this electric eel thing all the way into talking about Ill Will versus Clips. You got Clips for the low, like a Netflix deal. I think that's a
Yep.
good punch. And then the
Yeah, I
next
like that
notable
too.
punch was Bullets Through the Temple. That's a church shooting. Hard. And then that infamous air bleed line,
Yeah. Yeah, that no one seems to be fucking with. I
which
mean, I get it.
I
I
do. Go ahead.
it's not that big of a deal. I mean, there's like you said, there's going to be dry spots. This is clearly one of them. But I mean,
Do you
look
make
at the
him
grand
lose
scheme.
around on that, though?
No, for people that can take the time to write this down and look at everything on the whole, I mean, the amount of notations that we have here for both of these guys is overwhelming. But I mean, just in Brizz's first round alone, it's pretty daunting to see, and that's what it comes down to. If you want to nitpick a round, or I mean, if you want to nitpick a line, or you want to say something's a reach, that's fine. But in the grand scheme, if two things out of 18 are not hitting for you, that's a solid fucking round.
Yeah. Also, if you say he takes a L for saying this air bleed line, let us just again refer back to the Asian chin bar in 2017 from Ill Will
Yes.
as a closer. So let's be real here. Everybody has bad
Hmm.
shit. Doesn't make them bad, but moving on. The Steve Harvey hairpiece line was incredibly well referenced. It was a good punch. It was just a really hard punch, and the audience loved that. Glock fresh out the box with no bodies like bony models. That's
Oh
hard.
yeah, I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, as am I. The crowd got with that one like a few seconds after he finished it. Like they didn't get that immediately, but as soon as they did, they were like, "Oh shit, that was
Hmm.
good." I remember that. And then the next one was, "Well, bust a rhyme. You'll get shot today." They asked, "Did he get for real with a nigga from the yak?" I said, "Pass the Cavassier." That's a good one,
Referencing the song from Busta
which
again.
featured both Diddy and Pharrell, but also did he Pharrell for real with a nigga
Hmm.
from the yak? Like, did he get crazy off that liquor? Yeah, that's a good bar. That's well written. And then we had his most memorable bars from this round. Like this is the ones you'll probably talk about in a year if this battle gets talked about. Is bring it down like I'm talking loud and bring it back up like we got shit to talk about.
Yes.
First of all, this is in the realm of those lines that we talked about from Ill Will, where he like does a change of character or something like that that gets the crowd really engrossed in the bar. This is one of those.
Yeah,
It
it is for sure.
it would have been way better if he would have been able to get the fourth bar off instead of having to pause between. But I mean, the third one being so good, like it spoke for itself.
I don't think, kind of like you said, it's just one of those bars that, like, I can definitely see this being talked about a while from now.
Yeah, it's a great performance bar. Can't deny
Yeah.
those.
And when you're going against someone like Ill Will, and this is kind of what I was alluding to before, and why I will talk later on why I have Briz winning this battle, but he's taking something that typically is one of Ill Will's fortes, and he's not only executing it, but in a lot of times he's doing it significantly better. I mean, Brizz's performance this battle was Brizz level, but elevated to match and beat someone who performs just as good as him typically on a URL stage.
This is true.
Yeah.
Something else. This is just about the way that Brizz writes his rounds. I've been noticing this for a few battles, but now I feel well versed enough to speak on it. He doesn't structure his punches in the same spots as everyone else either. He'll punch on the third bar intentionally a lot, and I've noticed it. And I wish I had like written lines to pick it out for you, but that's just an example. The fact that a haymaker could have been bring it down like I'm talking loud. He could have ended his round right there, and that would have been it.
Yeah, he could have. He definitely could have.
But he had his fourth bar being the actual punch, and it's still just as good.
Mm-hmm.
He does that a lot. But anyway, that was
unique structure.
It is. It is. But after that, bring it back up line. That was the end of Brizz's first. So then we can go into Will's second. Now, before we do that, let's talk. How do you feel again, like first versus first?
I mean, I have Brizz taking it pretty clearly. I think that between having the better haymakers of the round, a little bit less to have to really just refer back to was a big thing for me. Like there was a lot of stuff in Ill Will's round that I had to kind of convince myself, it was okay, or like, yeah, I think I got that. That like, I think that means that, and it was still a good round. It was a round that would have beaten most of the other people on the card that night, honestly.
Yeah, I can.
But it just wasn't enough.
All right.
What about you? How do you have it scored?
I have it much of the same way. I'll definitely give Brizz his grief for some of the dry spots he had, for definitely some questionable bars. But just like you said, there were just so many more spots where I had to question Ill Will, or just correct Ill Will, or just be confused by Ill Will. Lots of fire, lots of questionable though, comparatively.
That's like a 6-8 or a 7-8 round for me, kind of,
For sure. Okay, so it was round 2. So his opener with the flipping of Lux, first of all, that's hilarious. Second of all, it was done incredibly well. Third of all, no one has properly flipped Lux before. People have tried, but it always falls flat.
Yeah,
Will's the first person I've seen do it well and get good reaction.
Exactly. This was very creatively done. It was creative just in the sense that, like you said, no one's really done it. I think he kept pretty much exactly to the Lux battle. I mean, even kind of replicating the fake choke, the cadence with that. Just to start off a round like this, I really like. It was a great way to kind of fight back after losing the first.
And it was really ballsy.
It was. It was a risk. He took a huge risk. I mean, the crowd could have just as easily booed this the moment they heard where he was going.
Exactly.
And they didn't.
That's
they
even
really
more
took
testament too for the amount of respect that people have for Lux's material, especially his Calico material. For you to flip that in NY against a crowd favorite, that's almost suicide to most people.
Yeah. But it worked, I think everyone pretty much liked it. I do have my one qualm with it, which is, towards the very end of it. Yeah. But no, I think it's a good way to start.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, my one issue with this is obviously the way he ends it with the bar. What the heck does he say now? I don't even remember.
Thorough. You can check the thread count.
Yeah. So not only did it not really seem to apply, and I know we kind of nitpicked over this to try to get exactly what that reference would mean, like the thread count being thorough, like is there some other meaning behind this? But it just seemed like it was so awkwardly placed and awkwardly timed. And after having this like great 16 Lux impersonation that really hit, to me, it would have been better without that. He could have just ended on the fake choke, went into whatever his next part of material was. And to me, I think it would have personally landed better. It almost took away from what he had just done.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And also, it was a show of bad round structure. There was no transition to that. I guess it was maybe
that is
like
the biggest thing that throws me off.
Like what I could maybe see is I'm doing the fake Lux choke just like he did. but then I didn't actually choke. I remembered my rhyme and it was just this bar, but it
Right.
still feels out of place, you know?
Yeah, it didn't. It just kind of left a bad taste in what was otherwise a really good concept and a really good idea that he did really well.
Yeah, I agree. And then we get into I would like to play a game, Saw 6. That was good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the
Mm-hmm.
bootleg man. I'm giving raw clips. That's fire. That's a
Awesome.
haymaker. That is
Yeah, that is
amazing.
great. I mean, it immediately dug him out from whatever weird issue you may have had with anything he had said
Oh, yeah,
previously.
for sure. He needed that right there, too.
Yeah.
But then he goes into, you ever seen Guardians of the Galaxy? You Groot, a nigga I would body. That's not great.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've never even seen that movie, so the reference would have went right over my head
It
anyways.
almost
But I'll
doesn't
take your
even
word for
matter. It's like the laziest way you can refer to Groot. I've also never seen Guardians of the Galaxy, but that doesn't mean I don't respect those bars. Like I've heard enough about it to understand what I need to, but
Gotcha.
it's a wooden character. I get it. But I could
So
just
it's
as
just kind of a
easily,
corny reference in general.
yeah, like that bar I could use it with Tekken. Moku Jin. You a nigga I would body. Like okay, cool. Character made of
Yeah.
wood. It's really lazy.
Yep.
And then this next bar, we had to do a little bit of googling for this, or at least I did. It was Black Ratchet snapping these hoes. It's too late for that Don Imus. This was a setup, actually. This was a
Yeah,
setup to his next bar.
and it was good.
It's a
It was
really good
very good.
setup. So it refers back to like Don Imus referring to all women's basketball team as like ratchet hoes and jigaboos.
Nappy headed hose, I
Yeah,
think you
that's what
called
it
them,
was.
right?
That's what it
Yeah.
was. So it's a good setup based around that. You had to get that though, which I think it was back in 2007 is what we read.
Yep.
Yeah,
A little dated, to be honest.
quite a bit. It's 10 years. That's 10 years of dated, which I guess in battle rap shouldn't be much of an argument. Like we still reference fucking Friday to this day,
Hmm.
but that's a bit of a reachy dated reference.
Yeah, I agree. And again, it was something where, and I don't know if you noticed this, and I guess it kind of ties into what you said with his structuring, but he has a few setups that land more than the punches throughout this battle.
Yeah,
And I
this is
don't
one of
know
them.
if, yeah, like you said, I guess it's just the way he structures his writing. Maybe he could, if he would swap some of that around, though, he would be in a much better place.
Yeah, maybe. And then the payoff for that Don Imus setup is arm stuck in the shooting position. Maybe it's arthritis.
Yeah,
Now
which is nice.
that is nice. The almost made it seem like a choke, which I saw on the footage, and the crowd started to react as if it was one before that punch hit. So it took away from the power of it.
Okay, see, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. And then it was his next punch was, I send that coffin to God, pray for my bronchitis. That's good.
Yeah, I like
Coughing
that
to
as
God.
well.
That's good. And then he had the double D squeeze tight and brazier. That's good. That's real good.
Hmm. Also hard. He has a. There's a lot of like mid-round flips that both of these guys do throughout the battle that really land and I think are good. And I like when battlers don't just spend a specific segment of a round or an entire round doing name flips. Like threading them in throughout other materials seems to make them land so much better.
It's because you're not beating them over the head with it.
Yeah, it doesn't get redundant.
Yeah. And then the double D's on your head like Little Nicky, which great movie by the way. If you've never
Shout
seen
out
Little
Adam
Nicky,
Sandler, right?
yeah, for real, really.
Yeah.
If you've never seen Little Nicky, go see Little Nicky. Good movie. And then burning Brandon in the chest like he trying to join a frat. I'm in a frat. So I know that branding shit personally. So maybe I'm biased to like that bar. But I like that bar.
I'm in a frat, so I like.
That's the lowest form of appeal is I did that, therefore I like it. But hey, I'll admit
Yep.
it.
Yeah, I feel you.
Now we get into a negative for him. This is that big shot Ori concept.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. So
Talk about it.
So he was taught. I think the bar he used in this battle was he'll get a big shot, living that Ori life, which Still is a good bar, but unfortunately for Ill Will, I remember his battle with Big K, and he said, "Soon as I touch the top of the key, big shot, Ori move. You've already used that concept,
Yep.
and you barely changed it for this bar, so that's a negative."
Hey, I mean, we're catching this shit out here and we're attacking you for it.
But he made up for it immediately afterwards with the this ratchet give him all she got like a supporting wife, which that's hard.
Yeah, I like that too.
Show up with more straps at the show up with more straps than C3 crib on orgy night. That's also hard. You got to know C3 is a lesbian to get that, but that's really good imagery. That's a lot of strap-ons, man. A lot of straps.
I like it. I like it.
Yep. Raised on Raw like Vince's daughter. That's good. Juice had to slightly explain this to me, but I get now like Vince McMahon had his daughter on Raw all the time.
It's true. Wrestling bars, man.
They never get old. Peanut was right, and I'm gonna keep parroting it until people get it. Wrestling bars never get old. They don't.
And he follows that up with the future in your bitch, Scottie Pippen, right?
Yeah, that's crazy. That bar
Also
is
pretty
crazy.
relevant.
Also,
Pretty
yeah, that was
somewhat new.
timely.
Yeah.
And the setup was great too. He said, "You gas Nazi victim." That's great. That's simplistic. It's direct. You get it. It's a double entendre saying that Briz is all gas, which is a
Kind
common
of like
criticism.
a one-line punch.
It is, and I appreciate those.
Yep.
But then future in I see the future in your bitch, Scottie Pippen. Like, come on, that's great. That is great 2 lines right there. Now, then we hit a line directly after that that neither one of us really get. We're willing to admit it might be a really good punch, but we don't get it.
Someone please explain this to all of our listeners out there.
Yeah, really. He said he get the boot before the sock. I'm Ducati shifting. I don't get it.
What does that mean, people? The closest we have to this is clearly you have your boot on the shifter of a Ducati. When you shift, you'd be hitting boot before sock, but we're hoping that's not what it is.
It seems too simple.
Mm-hmm.
But then he had a punch after that we did a little bit of Googling for, and it's hard. He said, "Dope. New edition on the brown handle. I'm Bobby sniffing." Bobby Brown was in New Edition. New edition on the brown handle. New edition, Bobby Brown, Bobby sniffing. And dope because Bobby Brown was a dope head.
Big time.
So I've declared that a hard bar. And then he said, "Hanging these cats over the ledge. I'm Rafiki. You can get a butt in the ring. Rakishi. These twins, but I only used to run with one in NY. It's not Tiki," which that's a football bar. That's hard as
bar.
fuck. And I don't
Hard
even
ass
watch
bar.
football.
Just for anyone who doesn't understand that, real quick, twin brothers Tiki and Rondé Barber both played in the NFL for an extended period of time. Rondé Barber played for the Tampa Bay Bucks on defense. Tiki, of course, played basically halfback for the Giants for numerous years and was the only one of the two who would be running.
And also NNY.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Fact.
That whole section is crazy. But then he goes into another one of his staple bars. He said, "A chunk of raw meat in the sink, like mom said, take that food out of the freezer."
Yeah.
That's
Another one of
hard.
those bars from Ill Will that, almost like a common saying. That's kind of what it is. It's almost like a common saying, something that everyone can attach to, that he turns into a bar in some way.
And your mom asked you to put the chicken in the sink before she get home from work.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Yep. And then he had another bar which did not get slept on. Like, there were definitely a few people in the crowd that understood this. I'm glad I looked it up because it is hard. He said, "Don't play. Our Ks ain't studio speakers. KRKs are a very high quality studio speaker," but he's also saying, "Okay, our Ks is in our guns, ain't studio speakers." Like, that's hard. That's great.
Yep. It's amazing what a little bit of research will do for you on so many double meanings.
Yep, really does help. And then he said, "Bullets kicking through the windshield. Pineapple Express." It's good. Kicking through the windshield. That's a good reference. This next one required a bit of research. I've determined I still like it. but it
Okay.
required a bit too much. It's the I'll beat the Pope out you if you got that little boy with you. He was talking to
Right.
T Top about how T Top says he's always got the drug bars, but he don't keep a gun with him. So I'll beat the Pope out you if you got that little boy with you. So Pope was the word play on pulp there, but also Pope and little boys because Catholicism and pedophilia. But also little boy is apparently slang for heroin, I found out.
Right.
And
I mean, I guess it makes sense. You know, we've got Coke as the white girl. Apparently, heroin's the little boy. So I could see it. Like you said, it did take a little bit of research, and that may just be on us. You know, I'd be kind of surprised if a lot of people knew that. I'd like to think we're pretty versed on the subjects, but
but we ain't in the streets selling drugs, so there might be things we just don't know.
facts, facts.
But all the same, I like that bar. I think that's pretty good. And then
I
raw
do. I
behind
like it too.
bars, like the evidence room,
Fire, fire.
it's great.
Again, it's another name flip. It doesn't have to, you know. I think pretty much any flip that either of these guys did to each other throughout the battle were some of their better bars of the battle.
And honestly, a lot of people said that Will's raw flips were like basic, but I haven't heard many of these before. And they
No,
were good. So I don't know how basic they could be. A lot of people have battled Briz.
yeah, I agree.
Okay, so then the next one was the Nicky Barnes bar. It was a leftist rat overall, like Nicky Barnes.
Yeah,
So we,
that was after a little bit of research, us finding basically that Nicky Barnes was a NY native gangster who was kind of in a coalition, if you will, with several other gangsters. And after a very important mandated law between all these guys of never committing any type of infidelity with another member's wives, and someone did, Nicky Barnes opted to become an informant for the government and become the rat to this group that he had committed crime with for so long.
Nicky Barnes was also one of the heaviest drug pushers in the U.S. at the time. Like the president had to make sure that he got arrested.
Now, that also reminds me to bring up the fact that you had mentioned, given the fact of who he was and where this battle was held, it was kind of surprising that this didn't get as much reaction.
Yeah, Nicky Barnes was out of NY.
I wonder if it's just something that kind of went over everybody's head, or,
I
you know, who
believe. I
knows,
mean, it
really?
obviously must have. The room reacted none for that bar,
Right, right. Yeah,
which
I guess
I
so.
think they should have.
I mean, I like it, especially after we did the research and found out what it was. It's a good ass reference, and it's a
That's a
hard
low
bar.
key haymaker, to be perfectly
Yeah.
honest, because that's still a name flip too.
Yep. Agreed.
So I'll definitely give more points to Will for that. But then we have the worst setup in the battle. You remember this setup, yeah?
I do talk about
He said, the reason why I walk around probably is because y'all don't know me probably.
it. I like, to me, this just sounds like something where he may have forgot part of his setup and just needed to get the rest of it out to get to the punch. Because if he actually wrote that down and memorized that as such, then what are we doing, no Will? What happened?
Yeah, I don't know. But he did have a decent punch. Shred her like a Roko Saki,
Oh
which
yeah,
I
it's awesome.
respect anybody that can rhyme a Roko Saki properly with things. Like it's impressive.
Hey, you just have to say probably in the same line twice, and you'll be able to do it too.
Apparently. But this bar is important too because it takes steam out of one of Brizz's bars in his next round, and this isn't the first
Yes,
time it'll. This is the first time it'll happen in this battle, but it happens again.
not the last.
So yeah, that Shredder or Roko Saki bar was the end of Will's second. I liked Will's second. There's a lot of good stuff in there, much better than his first. Like definitely
Agreed.
solid all the way through. A lot of really really hard shit and stuff that
Yep.
got slept on.
No, I totally agree with you. I think the other thing too, even the bars that we weren't sure of that we had to look up after, like, kind of researching what they were or what they were referenced to, they were some of the stronger bars of the round. You know, they were really good.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so Brizz's second. Damn, we are getting on in time here, my brother.
Yeah, and I'm sure we are.
It's basically like watching the battle
Yep.
with annotations. But anyway, Brizz's second. So goes in on the finger fucking a nigga till he climax bar. I mean, that's a W. Like, come on, it will. You said
Yeah, I
that.
mean, Will took the L saying it, and he's going to take an L anytime someone wants to bring it up again and has any type of moderately good flip on it.
And Briz is a really good roaster, and he does not make you look good. But
No,
even better is that while he's roasting him, he goes into the cut your hand off. Now your finger stuck in a nigga. That's a bar. That's a
so
really
hard.
good
And
bar.
typical Briz fashion, he's always got a little bit of that like kind of horror esque lines throughout the battle. So it was nice to hear this. And it's just a hard ass bar. This is
Oh yeah.
actually one of my favorite. And very simple. Didn't have to be crazy. Wasn't overly complex, but it just gets the point across and it's hard.
Yep. I agree with that. And then the round goes into just Briz speaking facts about comparing his career to Ill Will's. Nothing
Yes.
in there is not true. And this may not be bars or punchlines, but real shit is good too. And
Yeah, no, I agree.
I could personally agree that Ill Will is a step down for Briz.
Yeah, he is for sure. I mean, there was a time where that would be argued and highly debated, but I think in the past year or so, anyone who's going to argue that Ill Will still is a higher stock in battle rap than Briz just hasn't been watching battle rap.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And then directly after all of that, this is a step down from me, Smack. He has a shredder bar, which again falls flat because because Ill Will had that bar in his first. But to be fair, this bar probably would have still fell flat, honestly. Shells on his
Yeah,
back like the turtle, but something shredder, whatever. The bar probably would have still fell flat.
yeah, we've heard shells on his back like a ninja turtle or like a turtle, and that referenced so many times that I don't think anyone would have really went too crazy over it either.
Nah. But then I think the put a hole in what you rock or wear, but then rock put the chain around his neck like Hove signed you, didn't get the reaction it deserved. I think that's a really good bar.
No, I totally agree with you. And that was one that when we first listened to it, I kind of paused and went through with you,
Yeah,
um, just because of the concept of it and how good it was too.
yeah. The Renegade bar that he had after this though, he bid it from Big K
Hmm.
versus Ill Will at that. So I got to knock Briz for that one.
Yeah. Do you think? Let me ask you quickly while we're on that. Do you think that's like literally a habit of, someone watching? Like obviously Briz probably did a little bit of research, right? Saw that battle. It's arguably Ill Will's best battle. And like, do you think it's just one of those things where you hear something and kind of subconsciously end up attaching a similar reference to it, not meaning to, but
See, having tried to write a battle round, I really do understand that. It's hard to think of concepts that haven't been done before. It's
right.
it's it's hard as shit. And even if you don't try to write a bar that you've heard before, you might unintentionally throw something on paper that you might have heard before.
Oh, of course. I mean, that's something I think Av tried to allude to with his bar stealing, which is definitely the legitimate end of what he was saying. Like, there's been so many things said, so many things heard. You may unintentionally just be like, oh man, this sounds good. And you may have heard it 10 times before and not realized it because there's just so much going on
Yeah.
and so many things that have been referenced and talked about in battle rap.
But yeah, it happens. But gotta knock him for it anyway. You bit that.
Yeah, definitely.
Sorry about you. Clips long enough to wrap around niggas. I like that. It's not really a punch, but I just like the imagery.
Yep. Yep. I could agree.
That's captivating. I'm going to get rich or die trying. This 50 don't back down. That's good. And then this is the hash brown bar. But the setup is important here too because it makes the bar even better. These serve all day. Catch a Mac round. So all day breakfast, Mac,
Hmm.
McDonald's. That's a slight reach, but it works depending on the area of the country you're from. And then I'll have his body hanging halfway out the bag like a hash brown. Everyone's at least seen McDonald's hash browns. Like that's a
Sure.
really gettable bar. That's great. It's a hate maker. And then he next had this 40 kick this bitch 100 feet away with a clip full of restraining orders. That's hard.
It is.
I
It's
don't,
you know, Briz has a lot of things that he says that I think a lot of people misinterpret as basic or simple, but I think one of the biggest attributes in battle rap is if you can say something that's deemed simple, but yet no one else has ever managed to say that, that's not a dock on you. That's a point for you.
Yeah. Kay had a reference to that in his third against Ill Will. If you've heard less is more, I'm really a genius.
It's a fact.
Okay. Then this is my favorite bar of the battle right here. Not the battle, but this round. Think
Okay.
Jeffrey, because with Fresh Prince on the tray, I will Smith him like Master William.
Master William.
Yes.
Yes.
Come on. How can you not like that bar? How can you say Briz doesn't have good writing with a bar like that? Fresh Prince on the tray that Jeffrey carries. Will Smith him like Will Smith the actor, but Will Smith him with the Smith and Wesson like Master William. And it's a great reference too, and it's catchable. That bar
It
has
is.
everything.
I mean, he even impersonates the butler. God, what's his name? Jeffrey. He
Jeffrey.
even impersonates Jeffrey in the like in saying it. What more could you ask for?
I don't know. This is just one of those simple one-liners. Like this isn't a bar, but it's just a good one-liner. You be ripping niggas off. I be ripping shit off niggas. It's a good line. But then what got slept on directly after that is I'll have more cats in his hood than Jaguar car dealers.
Yes. Yeah, that was one that I actually hadn't even caught until you brought it up to me, and that is a fire line.
Just no one caught that though. Crowd didn't even catch it.
Nope.
If I declare war, the deuce is wild, then I cut shit like card dealers. Come on. War, deuce is wild, cut shit,
Yep.
cards. Come on. I target you. Like, oh, and this rhyme scheme goes all the way from off niggas for quite a while. So he goes, target you like a Nazi in a bar mitzvah, carving a swastika and a round in his top, not a yarmulke. Now, this bar is already good because the imagery of him carving a swastika into your head and then wrapping it around
Sure.
like a yarmulke, like the good imagery. It would have been better if he said like a yarmulke instead of not a yarmulke, because then like instinctually makes you think, oh, that's probably a punchline I should cheer, instead of just word association or like a concept association, which is what most of this was.
Right. Yeah, you're right. I think he could have tailored it a little better to get the reaction out of it. But like kind of what you were saying is it's just part of such a long rhyme scheme that I don't even know if that was his focus in writing it.
Nope. And then he still has a bar after that too. Y'all niggas get the flame in your window like it's Hanukkah. Anyone that knows anything about Hanukkah knows the Jews leave their candles burning in their windowsills.
Fact.
And this was a good bar, but the performance is necessary to really make this good. Is you made it look easy on Smack. Now you up here trying hard. Like he made it as if he was smoking crack through a pipe instead of injecting Smack through his veins. Like it's good, but also because Ill Will's trying to get back to his former status on Smack before DNA killed him. The concept's good.
Yeah, I will say that there's that is one angle I think that's starting to get. I don't know if I'd say redundant for Ill Will, but every opponent that Ill Will's faced since his return has had some reference to the fact that like he basically told URL to suck it and then begged to come back.
Well, I mean, you can't. It's like referencing QP being a prostitute. You just kind of gotta. It's
Yeah,
an L
you're
you
right.
took. It's a really hard L you took.
You're right.
But yeah, moving on with that. After that, there's a section where he's talking about what you gonna say. How I'm cave gang and rock the boss. Well, till rock get off stage, I let a rocket off, break shit, spaceship. Now your top lift off.
Fire.
Fire.
Fire. The flow of it, the writing of it. I mean, it's all. Briz can rap. For anyone who hasn't listened to any of his music, I would highly suggest you do. But Briz can rap.
And it's lines like this that kind of prove it. And that's still a punchline. And still, it's really well done. Spaceship, obviously, top half of it's the only part of it that actually goes flying into space. Rocket and spaceship still have a concept link. And he still brought Tay Rock into the scheme till Rock get off stage. Rock hit, Rock get. Word plays in there too. See, it's just great concept. Great written bar. And
Couldn't
then
agree more.
yeah, a couple more. This was a bar that didn't get the reaction it should have. It was chill, Will, before you get the Tylenol. That's a chill pill to put his brains on a Tylenol. So Tylenol, chill pill is obviously what Tylenol does, but also chill pill as in pill shape of a bullet through his head, but also chill peel because pill peel is wordplay, and then Tylenol wordplay. Like that's all good.
Yes, I agree.
Then he was talking about his career again. He was still going on that concept. You got smoked twice, smack passed on you. You know the rules. Puff, puff, give. That's fire. That's a personal because Ill Will did lose twice and then got put off smack. But also traditional
Yeah,
smoking rules.
I mean, this is a good example of Briz, kind of taking an angle in part of the round as well. It's he kind of touches on everything at some point in this battle. Maybe I don't know if he has any rebuttals. That might be one of the only things you could say he doesn't.
Yeah.
But I mean, the performance, the humor, the punches, angle based. I mean, there's a lot of versatility to Briz.
Yeah. And that's basically all the stuff that matters in his second round. The next one's not even really that big of a deal. So let's talk about that second round. Now, how do you feel? I still gotta say I gave it to Briz. Like this is definitely still a clear round just because of all the facts he was spitting on him as well as all the punches. Yet at the same time, Will had some of his strongest stuff in the battle in this round, yet also still so many dead spots and things I had to question.
Yeah, I think I agree with you in that sense, and I definitely give this to Briz in the second as well, simply because we see a lot more we see a lot more of Briz doing Briz, starting with him saying, the finger fuck until he climax, and then he's gonna cut his hand off. Then he goes into all these. It really hit hard for me when he kind of highlights his career and how he's stepping down on Ill Will. I think when you can kind of factually prove that you're above your opponent, unless your opponent is cooking you, which in this case he's not, it's such a good look for you. You're literally putting yourself above your opponent right
And
in
that's
front of
winning a
him.
battle.
Yeah, I mean that's what you're supposed to be doing.
Now,
Um,
I think, let me pause you. I think
yeah,
we can
sure.
use that, people can use that against us for our opinions on top versus goods. They might be
Yeah.
able to.
Well, I
And
mean,
I'll
the
admit if
difference
I'm
is,
wrong, but I still want that footage. Let's get to that when
well,
that footage comes out.
I think, I mean, if you're looking at it that way, and what you're saying that in top versus goods, we say that you can't just style and prove you're swaggier than someone, and then that's
That's not really
what.
the same thing in this case. You're
Yeah,
right.
I mean, Bruce isn't trying to point that he's swaggier than someone. He's literally pointing that his resume as of late has been so good, and he's beaten all these people very handily. I mean,
That
clear
beat
30s in
Ill.
most cases. And now he's coming. I don't really look at that in the same sense.
Okay.
And on top of that, when you're layering a singular point around a ton of bars and everything else, whereas with goods, it's more like he's doing a ton of that and sprinkling in some bars. It's a big difference.
Yeah, I can get you with that.
So, I mean, I think we see that, and then we see a good section of just straight rapping out of Briz in that round with the whole Tay Rock setup and the rocket. Um, the highlight might still be the Loaded Lux portion, but after that, what else is really memorable of that round? I think for Ill Will. So again, I have to give it so far at this point 2-0 to Briz. I mean, Briz has won the battle at this point.
Yeah. All right, let's get into that third. Now, Ill's third starts slow. There isn't much to it until Kobe with the mouth. She a ball hog, which
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure I haven't heard before. I'm gonna be real. I'm not gonna assume I've heard it before, but I
Okay.
feel like I've heard that before.
Yeah, I mean, and it might even be something he said. To be honest with you, like I've definitely heard of the ball hog and Kobe reference before. So
Yeah,
you're
like
right
that's
about
not a
that.
new concept. I feel like.
Nah.
Okay, so right after that, he's got the performance bar, which again, performance matters. This was great performance. He got me jumping out my boxes in a stance like I'm Balrog. The way he performed, it was hilarious. Hilarious, man.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. I mean, Ill Will's performance throughout this whole battle, just because we have Briz taking this and because Briz seems to be shining it. I mean, Ill Will has. I like this battle, I think, more than pretty much every battle since he's been back. I like it better than the Clips battle. I think I like it better than the Nitty battle. This is definitely a good battle for him.
Yeah, can't deny that at all. Okay, so after that, we go into a little section of Ill's round, which I think definitely takes away from his round. And it's all these indirect call outs. You're not
Okay.
battling Av. You're not battling Twerk. And let me disclaim, I can completely understand the reasons you would have call outs in a battle. You're trying to build a storyline, keep your career going. Fine, I respect that.
Sure.
But you're not battling these people. You're on the stage with Briz at the moment. And not battling Briz is not going to help you beat Briz.
Right. Especially when you're kind of seemingly losing already. You don't have a place really to stop focusing on who's in front of you to start calling out other people.
Exactly.
It's one thing, I think, when you're kind of handily beating your opponent and you kind of showcase, like, look, I'm beating you so bad I have time to call out all these other people in
But
your
this is
league.
not one of those times.
Nah.
Okay. So right after that, after he gets finished with the bars for other people, which they were good bars, can't deny that, just weren't what we're looking for. He got slept on with that Ace Ventura, I came out an animal bar. Ill Will has the best Ace Ventura bars in the game.
I think It Will sits at home and watches a ton of Jim Carrey. I think that's what he does between the Me, Myself, and Irene, and the catching bullets with your teeth. And yeah, I mean, you're right. He does. He has a ton of Ace Ventura bars.
They're all good.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And then we could take this shit outside like a bathroom key. That's hard.
Yep.
Everyone's had to
Simple,
do that at some
fire.
point.
The only qualm I might have with that is that it's very similar to the porta potty. I'll make you hate to take this shit outside from Av, but it's
Was that before
different
this?
enough. What's that?
Was that before this?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was like him and Mike P on Christmas Day, I believe, that he uses that bar.
Okay.
So I mean, it is definitely kind of similar, shit outside, porta potty, but it's different enough. I'm not gonna be going crazy over it.
Okay. So after that, there's this little section on you from the hood where blah, 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 leave that crazy nigga alone or whatever. But then he's like, I'm from where we say, oh, he's crazy. Let's see how crazy he is. Not a great bar, but I really liked that. And the crowd slept on that. Just the performance, the conviction he said that with. I figured that would hit.
I think the fact that It Will's so believable in that sense helps kind of lend itself to that too. I liked that as well. I thought it deserved to hit a little harder than it was, but I think a lot of it is just due to the fact that Ill Will's definitely kind of cut from that cloth, it seems. So
Yeah, exactly. The next bar, the flu game Jordan bar. You ain't Michael Jordan. You can't play ill with that 38. First of all, he name flipped himself, and it's always impressive when people do that. But everyone knows the flu game. I did do a bit of research, and he did score 38 points. So that's a on point reference. It's a gun bar. It's all good.
shout out to MJ. Flu game was I think like last week. So, well, the anniversary of it, of course.
Yep. And then he was like, this is his third instance of that bar he does. The arm across his chest, like, hold on, bro, a car coming. Fire.
I think that one hit harder than any of the other ones previously that he had too.
And they're
Don't you
still
think so?
hitting.
Yeah.
Like, you could tell me, no, you can't tell me you're getting sick of bars like that because they're all good. They're all
No.
good bars. How good does a bar have to be for you to be sick of those? I'm serious.
I don't know, man. My biggest thing with that is just simply that you don't hear a lot of them. It's outside of it, like that's Ill Will's staple. He doesn't have a slogan. If anything, he has this where he can just simplify a phrase and make it into a heavy bar. And I look forward to it. He had one per round. I think they all landed really well. I think that's a perfect amount. And I hope he does it every battle. And seemingly he usually does.
Yeah. Okay. So then he had leg hanging out that bitch like Smokey parking. That's real good. If you've seen Friday, Smokey has to like hang his leg out of his car to get it can go in the park. On My Mama, I hang this bit brother over the ledge. I'm the good son. The Good Son, while a terrible movie, that's a great reference.
I've actually never seen it.
The end of the movie, the bad kid is like hanging with his brother over the ledge on the mom's arms, and the mom chooses the one not evil child like any sensible mother would.
Huh.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
This next bar I liked a lot because the setup is you read me wrong, you get the throwaway. Illiterate. So illiterate, read me wrong, but also throwaway, illiterate.
Yep. Yeah, I like that.
And I'm not sure if I've heard that before. Juice said he thinks we might have heard that somewhere before.
Yeah, I do think I've heard someone flip him in a way with like illiteracy, but I don't know if it was in the same sense of like also including actual littering. So, and I didn't even catch that initially. So it's very possible that it was it's different enough that, it's not a big deal.
And then it was Long Nose, Long Sweeper. I'm the Wicked Witch. That was good.
Fire.
That was
Yeah,
real
fire.
good. Who is that dude on stage that always reacts really hard to stuff?
Queen's flip.
Yep, Queen's Flip went crazy for that one.
Yeah, he did.
Shout outs to
Shocker.
Queen's Flip. Yeah, right. Let him know. He after this, Will did a flip of some of Brizz's lines and they hit well. I didn't notate them because they were just flipping lines that he did, but it hit, which is the important part.
Yeah.
And then he had a bar about Netflix and Dave Chappelle, like you get 60 or like you get 230s in the gut. Netflix, Dave Chappelle, you get this 60 for nothing or just for talking funny or something like that. And that bar is accurate, first of all. But that's both timely and a great reference because I can guarantee most everyone in that crowd watched Dave Chappelle's comedy specials on Netflix.
Yeah.
And he got $60 million for those. So, accurate bar. And then right after that, he goes and it was Glocking niggas. I hit the scene. Mr. Clean, one ball head, mopping niggas. Structure really well. Great imagery. Mr. Clean, ball head reference is good. Or I pull that Fifth Element. Your core bend when I'm rocking bitches. And he explains this bar, which I think this one's okay, but I've never actually seen the Fifth Element.
Nah, neither have I.
But apparently a bunch of people in that crowd did. So that's
I'll
the
go with
important
it.
part.
Yeah.
And then it said, I got a young nigga to do it for cheap. I put a bag on your weed on your head like Loke Dog. That's good. It's good. I pull them pillows out the oven like a stepbrother sleepwalking. Pillows, as in guns, pillows. Stepbrothers references. I don't know why so many battle rappers have seen the movie Step Brothers.
Oh my God. I mean, I guess to be fair, it's a fantastic movie. It's kind of like Superbad, like everyone's seen it at least once, even if you're just like watching it drunk or high and just laughing it up.
Yeah.
So I'll give it that. But Step Brother, I'm almost getting to the point now, and I usually I think it's because it's like nuts on the drum or something, but like I'm almost over it. I'm almost over it.
Yeah, as a concept.
Yeah.
I feel. There's 2 hours of movie footage there, though. There has to be many other concepts you could do.
If you're gonna do it, there's way more than you can do than like just the dog eating white dog poop and putting your nuts on something.
But anyway, then this bar is important, and it's just because Will went first. And it's this AR depressed. It's going through some shit. Now, first of all, that's a great bar.
Yep, love it.
But why it's important is because Briz has another instance of a bar he wrote that would have been the exact same bar. The punchline's even exactly the same. We'll get to it. But his had much less steam because Ill Will's came out first. He got the head nod first, as Juice said to me.
Yeah. Now I have a question for you,
Go for it.
I don't know. I'm going to bring it up now, even though we haven't highlighted what Briz said because it's the second or third instance of this. Do you think, and this is in reference to someone on the sub basically saying that it was such a bad matchup, which I can't really fathom, but when you start to see that even the writers are having similar bars to each other, is that not indicative of it actually being quite the opposite and it actually being a great matchup because you have two people that are even thinking, almost identical to each other at times.
When you define mirror match, this is the battle I'm going to go back to now.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, it's the performance factor, the mom jokes, the similarities where they've had, is it every single round or 2 rounds where they've had a
Two
similar
rounds.
bar to each other? Yeah, that's crazy. You know?
And also the fact that both of them do mom jokes, which in great ways, which is still funny.
Yep, yep.
This is a mirror match. I don't understand y'all funny niggas on Reddit and the Discord, but whatever. Then he goes into this scheme about Dr. Kevorkian, but then kind of ends the rhyme scheme with Kevorkian and Patience to Live. No, it was Kevorkian, Crib, and Patience to Live. That doesn't rhyme.
Yeah, I
That
don't.
doesn't rhyme.
You had to explain that to me anyway, so I didn't really have any weight on that and to begin with.
The important thing to know about Dr. Kevorkian is he killed a lot of patients. You now understand a majority of the references.
Nailed
That's
it.
that's all you need. But then he did have his best one of his best lines of this round too was I'm Ray Charles. I ain't gotta see shit to shoot raw. That's crazy. If you've never seen the movie Ray or don't know anything about Ray Charles, blind musician got really into heroin and used to shoot it up all the time.
I actually did not know Ray Charles did that, but I also didn't ever watch that movie.
Oh, you should. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, he shot up heroin all the time, so that bar is even crazier.
Mm.
So that was everything we have for Will's third round, which, in my opinion, I think this was his strongest round, honestly.
Yeah, no, I would definitely agree with you. I think it's his strongest round just off the fact that there was a good amount of bars that were very performance heavy. There was some stuff that I think was really slept on. Of course, he had one of his ill staples with the whole car, hold on, bro, a car coming. Um, I just think it was a good round. He kind of kept the same momentum going throughout the whole thing too, which
It was
which helped a lot.
structured much better, too. I didn't have to search around for punchlines that much compared to his other
Hmm.
two.
Fair, yeah.
In fact, I didn't have to search for any in this round, actually. I got everything. Everything I felt like should have hit, I got.
Yeah, we didn't have to open up Google at all.
Sign of a good round. Sometimes it's good to be challenged, but sometimes your references are a little too far over heads with the monkey bar shit.
Yeah, yeah, or so outdated.
Also, yes, Don Imus, shoutouts. Okay, so then we get into Brizz's third. Now,
Yeah, let's bring this baby home.
yep. Now, I'll admit that this part I could understand you not liking. It starts off with this whole scheme based off L's to Will. To get the W, I give 2 L's to Will. Like, it all makes sense. And to me, I like this section because he's not reaching in any of this. And all of it still makes sense. But I can also understand being done with this concept or just generally not feeling it. So
Hmm.
take this one as you will. And he then ends this section with something about Santan, like Jewel Santana, and referencing, obviously, probably cocaine, I want to say.
Well, anything that's tan would probably be heroin, honestly.
Ah, you're right. Okay. Referencing heroin or some drug of some kind. It's a drug bar. But I'm questioning the wording on it. So, like, I'm not giving him points for that, but Juice liked this bar.
Yeah, I didn't mind that, and I would actually say, in terms of his initial kind of ill will flips with using the double L's, I actually didn't personally care for it. So that'll weigh in later to my decision onto the round and the battle.
Yeah. And then this was good, though. He said, all you're going to see is your baby back and ribs like a Chili's commercial. That's good.
Yes. Simple. We've all heard the baby back rubes, a million times, and still effective. Good imagery.
And
I like
shout
it.
outs to Chili's. And then he was going in on Will's career some more. You had a bunch of tongue ring bars you escaped Alcatraz with. True. Ill versus Johnny Alcatraz was a good battle, but Ill Will did come with a bunch of tongue ring jokes for Johnny, which sucked because Johnny was fresh out the joint and he was built. His image was more believable. He could have went somewhere battling if Ill didn't do that to him. I don't think I've
Yeah, he
seen him since
clowned him.
then.
No, I don't think he's battled since then.
It's sad. And then there's some. This is a controversial part of Brizz's third, the KOTD scheme.
Ah, yes. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's understandable the controversy because I think this concept may have been done to death, but at the same time, the concept applies to Ill Will so true. He tried to get Gully on KOTD, but it just wasn't organic. That's facts. He battled on KOTD one time. The crowd didn't fuck with a bunch of his material or a lot of his aggressive shit. They didn't really fuck with him that hard against Big K. It wasn't an organic place for Ill Will. Like the concept makes sense. It just might not be appealing to everybody. And I can understand that.
Yeah, it's definitely something that we've heard in several other places before and probably actually done better. But again, like you said, I don't know if really he didn't translate over too well. I know that was definitely regarded as like one of the battles of the year, but we definitely haven't seen him over there since then for one reason or another. And I'm sure it's kind of alluding to the fact of how he's been really trying to be back on URL and, pushing for that. So,
Then Briz goes, Brett Michaels, that's a sharpshooter with super kick. I like that. Simple.
yeah, I do
Wrestling
too.
bars never get old.
Nope.
And this is where the important thing comes in. It's Briz's line. These bullets had a hard life. They going through some shit. Exact same punch.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
But the problem is, had Ill Will not had that line in his previous round, that would have been a haymaker.
Yeah, that's almost like a chess level bar, you know? It's just like a one liner that has like, I don't know, something about that strikes me as something I could hear Chess saying too. But
Yeah.
like you said, it's been deflated by the fact that it will basically just had the exact same bar. So
Yep. And they were still both good. It's just, timing. It's unlucky. It happens. Shout outs to
yeah,
Chilla Jones versus Joe Nye. Okay, so then we've got Briz going back into his funny shit, like I'm gonna call up your mama, your wifey, and your sister and say I'm giving you the dick, you the dick, and you the dick. Like it's entertaining. It's funny, Briz, appealing to the crowd still. And then he goes into this line about a Gucci purse for Jazz the Rapper, which Juice enlightened me to something on our watch back through this. This is a flip on Ill's line against who was it? Who did he have it against?
Rum Nitty.
Yeah, it was Ill Will versus Rum Nitty, and he was talking about getting a what was it? Chanel purse for
Getting,
Jazz the Rapper.
y- yep, he was basically, I believe the line referenced turning two C's around because Rum Nitty likes to crip. And he said, "You want to bang? I'm gonna turn these two C's around and give Jazz Jazz. You want a Chanel purse?"
Yeah, but Brizz's line was something to the effect of like, with these straps, I give a G buckles or something like that. Jazz, you want you want a Gucci purse? Well, then you got to give me some Gucci first. I'm just
Yep.
putting that in the universe. Like that whole part is still funny and it's a line flip. Kind of fell flat for a sec because the punch didn't hit that well, but him being entertaining directly after that made it funnier and it still worked for him.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And then right after that, he had a Night of the Living Dead bar that was really dry, really didn't hit. His little section about Mac Myron and we'll put something on the Mac to make Mac silent, like that's good. But the Calico bar he had right after that it was just, it didn't hit and it wasn't that great anyway because all he did was quote Calico. And the Calico gun flip is overdone to death. But then the next bar was one that we did a little bit of Googling for. See, we had to do it for Briz too. Don't think we're dick riders. The pumps, gas, and birds like a Royal Farms. Now, this is a good bar. Royal Farms is a gas station chain in certain places in the U.S., and they also apparently have some bomb-ass chicken dinners. You can get like an
Thanks.
8-piece for $8. So pumps, gas, and birds, like still a gun bar and a good double entendre reference. I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. I'm glad that we looked it up because at first it didn't really make too much sense.
Yeah. This is my bar of this round, though. I got Goons in Africa because he's making fun of Ill Will's Jamaican Shata homie that he references in battles sometimes. He says, I got goons in Africa. Guns got more bodies than human traffickers.
Yes,
That's nasty.
that's hard.
That's really not nice. But then he had a bar about wet, like bullets longer than a finger, the same wet willies, and that's not that great. Pull up with the
Nah.
toys, they ain't power wheels, like that's also not great. But then his little section about will be smoking, like that whole section written really well. I liked it, but again, this could be likened to that L's to will section. I don't know how many people feel good about constant same word flips for bars, you know?
Right.
But this particular line in that section, I think, deserves to be stood out. It's to be blunt. It's a rap. When we roll up, I bet we'll be smoking. I think that's really good. Just the weed smoking concept in there with blunt rap, roll up, will be smoking.
Yeah, no, I like that too. And I think I don't attach that to the rest of the flips because, like I said, I don't particularly like those, but I do look this kind of as a separate flip.
Yeah. And then this is still his funniest thing in this round, I think. It was I've been to Pontiac. That shit is a ghost town. Everything besides your mama pussy is closed down. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it is. Even hearing it now, it still is.
Yep. And then the crowd gets into the 3-0 chant, which Briz decides not to take because he's like not trying to ruin the battle. I respect that. And then he goes into the freestyling, and his ender is just really dry at this point. Like his round ends really dry. So if anything, I'd be willing to give Ill Will the third. I'll revise 3-0. I'll say clear 2-1, debatable 3-0.
Yeah, I'm fair with that too. I like the more I hear it, it seems like Briz kind of ended with a freestyle. I didn't particularly care for the intro of like the Will flips. And Ill Will did have a solid third round on top of it. So I could say 3-0, 2-1 debatable, but in no realm of possibility can I really see people giving Ill Will this battle.
Nah,
I'm
me
not really
neither.
sure where it's coming from.
Me neither.